top tooth. So you can kind of just play any open string along with the note, the melody string that you're playing.
And you better be in the key of G with the
and
tuning.
Yeah, hopefully you're in the key of G.
Okay.
And that'll work out good.
What song are we gonna play?
Let's do Turkey in a Straw. I think I know that's sort of in this tuning. Play your G though. Turkey in the Straw.
Going to ask a question. Go ahead.
Do you usually fret your fifth string with your thumb?
If I am going to fret it, I usually do it with a thumb. It depends, though. Sometimes a chord position might be. It just depends, but usually I'm comfortable just flop my thumb over the top. It's if you really want to, if your person is really concerned with just the most appropriate right-on technique, it's probably not such a good idea to use your thumb on it, because once you have your thumb there, it pretty much makes you can't do much to move the other part of your hand around. And some people would recommend in a kind of more versatile, technically appropriate way to just fret it you know, with one of the 4 other fingers, the way a guitar player would fret.
That would be the proper way.
Right.
That wouldn't be the bluegrass way.
Would be the bluegrass way. That's true. But I don't know. It's done all sorts of different ways. Well, I have this book that's about to come out that Tony Trischka and I co-authored, where we interviewed in depth about 18 most famous banjo players, and then we also sort of sent out a questionnaire to another 50 or so, and we asked all kinds of things about how do you do this and how do you do that, including how do you fret the 5th string, or whether you keep your thumb right behind the neck or hanging over the top, or whether you put both of these 2 fingers down on the banjo head, which is a big hot issue amongst banjo players, whether you absolutely must or not. And the fact is, many professional players don't keep both of those fingers down on the head. So we have all this data now about how all the myths that everybody thinks all the professionals do this or that, it's incorrect. There's nothing that they all do other than play the banjo and get paid for it.
When is this book coming out?
We don't know exactly when it's coming out, but they're working on it pretty hard at the publisher, and we're hoping it'll be just a matter of a couple of months. We'll just have to see. It's going to be a very large book. All material that was just compiled just for this book, and it's going to be well over 300 pages, so it's going to be a giant thing.
Did you get it through Hot Rides?
If it's out and you see me, I'll try to have copies wherever I go, you know.
Can we write you and
Yeah. In fact, as long as I'm plugging my products, I've got some of them over there, and most of them are actually marked with price tags. And if you want to help yourself, self-service, you know, for banjo instruction materials and play-along record and all that, it's there. Or later, I can talk with anybody about it when we're done here.
Do you use any other tunings other than G?
For playing the fiddle?
Playing with the fiddle?
Oh, me? Oh, yeah, sure. I use a few other tunings. Probably we'll get to. It might be nice to play country blues or something in a little while, because that uses just a 1-string different. But it's sometimes I don't like retuning the banjo stem to stern, because then I have to learn all different positions around the banjo neck, and you know, I have enough trouble remembering just how they are when you tune it one way. But for tunes in C, like when we played John Henry on stage, or Shady Grove, or a few tunes like that, I really like using tuning. Gives you a different sounding chord when you play C.
And something, Scruggs played a lot in open D tuning, I believe. And I don't know what.
I wouldn't say a lot, but he had a real popular tune where he tuned the whole banjo to an open D chord, and got a lot of mileage out of the different sound that created. That's the neat thing about tunings, is that without even having to try, the instrument sounds different because the open strings are ringing differently than they normally do. So here we're going to play in the key of D, and I lowered the 5th string down to an F sharp instead of a G. And now in the chord, instead of being a high version of the root note of the chord, instead of being a high G in a G chord, it's now an F sharp in a D chord, which means it's the 3rd within the chord. And the tune is a bluesy tune, which uses the sound of the major 3rd and the minor 3rd both. So it has a kind of, and compared to everything else I've played so far at this workshop, you'll see this automatically has a pretty different sound to it.
So he plays those 2 notes, and I play right in between. It sounds really good together.
Especially if the bus is
Spreads out the overtones a lot, and it makes for a nice fat sound.
Makes people leave. So you gonna sing harmony to yourself on this a little bit too? Tim is one of the few people with this rare ability to sing one melody line and play another one on the fiddle to harmonize with it. We'll see if you can get it inspired enough to do that. Or I might even sing
like that, but I don't do that on this song, so
well,
I'll do it sort of. Okay, if you want.
These are off our new record, but not in this way exactly.
Now when I had plenty of bunny good people, all my friends were gathered around. Just as soon as my pocketbook was empty, not a friend of this earth to be found. surrounded my body, play well and it troubled my mind. To the sun, you can gather around all you find friends and see that's all ready to go down.
Maybe you should just make up some more grim, dreary verses to it.
You'll burn your breast a drinking. That might be the bell. Now we'll do some more, but I don't know exactly what kind of any other tunes like that.
Yeah.
Any other questions before we run out of too much time?
Yeah. Being that you played variety of instruments, do you feel more comfortable with one than another?
Okay, the question was, being like myself and playing a variety of instruments, do I feel more comfortable with one than another? And it's sort of, it changes for me. I mean, I like to play the guitar and the fiddle and the mandolin, and when I'm playing bluegrass, I feel more comfortable playing guitar. When I'm playing old-time fiddle tunes and stuff, I feel more comfortable playing the fiddle, and you know, it kind of fits playing blues and stuff on the guitar, and swinging on the guitar seems better, but it just depends on the mood, and I'm most at home on whatever I'm playing the most, and it seems like in this current context I play the mandolin the most, so I'm most at home and most just conversant with that technique, but I really like them all, so it's kind of hard to decide.
Do you feel yourself improving still?
Do I?
Are there times when you feel like you're still improving? Or
Yeah, I try to improve. I try. I'm working on improving all the time. Sometimes I improve, you know, just within minutes, you know, of waking up. It just depends.
That's it sounds like an off-the-wall question, but it's interesting that in some of these banjo interviews we did, there's some real famous banjo players who never touch the banjo except when they're on stage, or maybe they'll work on it a lot if they're about to record an album, but otherwise they just feel like they learn how to do it when they were teenagers or whatever, and they know how to do what they want to do, and they are not looking to expand a whole lot. But I don't know. I'm glad to say, I mean, I've heard Tim do a lot of improving over the course of the band, and it's great. He's always coming up with new stuff right on the spot.
Any question over here? How long did it take me to write Walk the Way the Wind Blows? I mean, that's a good question. I think it's, you know, certainly we don't play that on the fiddle and the banjo, but it was an easy song for me to write. Once I figured out that there was this little catchphrase, "Walk the Way the Wind Blows," and I kind of immediately knew what it would be about. You know, how it related. It was really easy to write. But I think writing songs there's a technique to that too, and there's a lot of practicing that goes on. For me, I practice writing lyrics and stuff, and then every once in a while a good idea will come out, and then I apply all that technique to the good idea. A lot of stuff I write I just kind of throw away. So it was pretty quick. I wish it was about. I think Walk the Way the Wind Blows really took me all of about a half hour, maybe.
You wrote that on the bus, didn't you?
Wrote on the bus, and I changed one thing after that half hour, but it was real quick, real easy.
Was it going uphill or downhill?
It was you know, the first part was in D, and then we went uphill, and then went down to F. Okay, any requests for fiddle tunes or anything?
Walk the Way the Wind Blows.
Walk the Way the Wind Blows.
We can do Maiden's Prayer or something, maybe. That would sound nice.
Okay.
I was getting ready to do something else, but I'll do
We'll do a Bob Wills tune for you, and Bob Wills is a very, very famous and influential fiddle player from Turkey, Texas, who formed the band the Texas Playboys and kind of founded the idea of playing country music in a swing style, and founded the idea of Western swing, which is, of course, where Red Knuckles and Trailblazers all came from, that kind of style of music. But this is there's a whole, of course, Texas, people in Texas know that they've got the best of everything down there, and fiddle styles are included. There are a lot of different fiddle styles, and one of the Texas styles is like a contest fiddle style, which is like a real flowery thing. Fiddlers like Byron Berline and Benny Thomason come out of that tradition. Then there are the styles like Bob Wills, who plays more of a swing thing. It's more of a sweet melodic, almost like a sung melody. And this is an example with Maiden's Prayer, it's a tune that Bob Wills wrote, and an instrumental that's known in the bluegrass tradition as well as the Western swing. And I'll play it for you then. The Maiden's Prayer. 2, 3, 4. The question was, am I self-taught or did I take lessons? And I think the answer is both. I taught myself sort of to get a... First, I had the fiddle and had a hard time figuring out how it worked and what the fingerings were like and stuff, because I played the guitar first, and it's a different system, it's a different tuning, so therefore the fingers go in different places to play the same things that you would play on the guitar. And also there's no frets, so I just didn't have a clue, and I could sort of get some things, but I had a hard time with it. And then somebody lent me a mandolin for a short, actually just for a week or so, and I was able to learn a couple tunes that I knew on the guitar on the mandolin and memorize them. And then I went back and got into the fiddle after that, and it was a lot easier. I sort of figured out the system of it within a couple of weeks, and then, you know, I mean, the idea of it. And
So I sort of taught myself and sat in my room and locked the door for a couple of years there, and then eventually got to where I could play with other people and sort of play in tune and sort of in time. And then at that point I started studying with a guy, just traded lessons with him. I showed him fiddle tunes and little things that I knew on the fiddle, and then he would show me violin technique so that I could get a better tone and better intonation and just try to hold the fiddle right and that kind of thing. So, but other than that, other than those lessons and other than watching people and playing with people, I really am self-taught pretty much.
Did you know then that you would become a professional musician?
Now I'm still wondering if that's going to happen. No, I didn't really know. I know I really liked music, and you know, I got to where I could play it enough, and so I had more call for musical work because I was more versatile than just. It seems like there were a lot of guitar players, and it was an advantage to play another instrument, so that helped a lot, and it kind of pushed me in that direction to be a professional, and try to be a professional musician.
How about a request for a tune? Any particular thing anybody'd like to hear we might know?
Whiskey Before Breakfast.
That's good. You could do Whiskey Before Breakfast.
Yeah, actually, I recorded that on an album where instead of playing with a fiddle, I played it with a flute. And I ran into this flute player who played in an old-time music band, and they did all kinds of typical fiddle tunes, and he just knew all the fiddle tunes and played them on the flute. In fact, if you go back and you refer to these tunes, say if you talk about it with an Irish person who plays the music, and you call them a fiddle tune, they think of them as tunes, and whatever instrument they're played on is fine, and they might play them on just about anything. So anyway, this flute player played Whiskey Before Breakfast and a few others, and we recorded it. It sounded kind of neat, but we did it in a different key from the way it's usually done. But I can play it in the usual key of D here.
What key did you play?
We recorded it in C.
Oh, I know.
I always have to remember it. There's a lot of little chord changes that happen fast in there, and let's see if I can get them.
All right.
we really know how to play
A blistering breakneck one, and then we'll go to the first aid booth.
There's an eager questioner over there. No? You're just waving at something.
Hi. I have one more question, Donovan.
This isn't a question, but I just wanted to tell you, Tim, that your Blue Moon of Kentucky, the slow vocal you did on that was as nice a thing as I've heard.
Thanks.
That was beautiful.
Thanks a
You're
lot.
going to give him a big head now. Don't do
No,
that.
no. That's a good number now for Blue Monroe.
Yeah, it really
It's been a good number for Tim O'Brien to answer the years.
I appreciate it. All right, was that a question or what was that? That was just a wave. And
She
here's
thought
another
you were
wave
her
back.
long-lost brother.
I was, but I'm not anymore. Why? We got a couple more over here.
Do you have any advice for real rank beginners who are still really rank at fiddle? Any tips?
Any tips? The question was, is there any tips for rank beginners on the fiddle?
Yeah.
My main advice to you is to start out and take a lesson or two, you know, and if you have a lot of drive personally, then a lot of times people don't really need lessons too much. People can just, you can pick it up on their own. But if you're just starting out on a musical instrument for the first time, I really advise getting a qualified professional to show you just the right way to go to start out. And you can develop your own style and all that stuff on your own, but I think there's just some things that will help you progress faster. So if you know anybody that plays the fiddle, you can have them show you a few things: how to tune it, just how to hold it, how to use the bow, and just the basic techniques of it. You know, so you can go through that stuff in a couple hours, really, the basic ideas, and you can hone it down after another period of time. The other thing is, I think, is to attend a lot of musical events in the style of music that you want to learn. Like this festival is a great thing to come to, because you get to hear other people play, you get to watch them up close. You're pretty close to me now, but out in the parking lot tonight, you can hear fiddle players play, and you can stand right beside them and watch what they're doing with their right hand. I know several people have told me that they used to watch, I can't remember who it was. I think, you know, it wasn't Byron Berline. Somebody used to put Itzhak Perlman used to put a cigarette in his hand, and he'd have it while he was playing with the bow, and at night you'd see this hand going around the cigarette, and it was a good way to learn. So just stuff like that. It's good to hang around these kind of events, because and also you get to know people that play,